Hi, it's Yash. What's the difference between our pure self and our mind? Number one, the pure self isn't our self. Well, it is, but it's also your self, and the grass is self, and everything's self. It's one self. The mind, that's the localized consciousness that most people are experiencing from, talking from, and relating to and from. The mind's having this conversation with you right now. It's great too. If we didn't have a mind, there wouldn't be any experience then. There wouldn't be a sense of me, so therefore there wouldn't be a sense of you, so therefore we wouldn't be able to enjoy the experience of the pure self connecting with itself in another seemingly separate form. So this is the life that we signed up for, and it's a good deal. That's why we got to be careful with the non-duality preaching. You know, there's nothing matters and all that. But of course it matters. Of course it matters. It's imbalanced if you don't acknowledge that and realize that. So, but it's like the consciousness, see, the pure self doesn't have a mind, and it doesn't talk, and it's so pure, like you can't even, what are you going to say about it? It doesn't have any quality, but it exists, so it gives birth to all qualities. And and that's the whole point. People ask, what's the purpose of human existence? That's the point. The pure self, somehow through its creation, it gets to taste its own self, which it couldn't do if there was no differentiating forms. We need individual forms because the God essence is in this form and it can taste itself. So what's the difference between the self and the mind? The mind, see, there's higher mind and there's lower mind. The lower mind, you can say, is the ego mind, the obsessive compulsive thought streams that come, desires, the way karma works through the lower mind, logical deduction, etc. Now, the higher mind, see, again, the pure self don't talk, but it created all these faculties. What a master game, huh? I mean, who could put this thing together? Wow. It creates these faculties for the dance of existence. So you have the higher self, the higher mind, or the higher self, whatever. So that's a better question, I think. Instead of like, what's the difference between the mind and our true self? What's the difference between our lower mind and higher mind, or lower self and higher self? That's something that actually has something we can. Because how are you going to talk about the pure self? Yeah. So the higher self operates more from this faculty called intuition. It sees. It doesn't discern, doesn't have logical deduction. It just sees. Done, sees. It moves according to like vibration. It senses more energy, the quality of things, the frequency. But there's no thought. It's operating in a higher frequency. You can say it's the pure mind. The lower mind, which we still need, can't just, you need the lower practical mind also to do our certain things, buy a ticket, plane ticket, or do some arithmetic. I got to figure out how much, blah, blah, blah. That's cool. But it gets tainted when it becomes like with this self-talk, this judgment, this commentary that it does. Why did that person do that? Why did they say that? Oh, they got something against me. You see, now you're back into something very personal, and that's very limited, and you're deep into duality at that point, which means you're going to be unstable, which means you're going to experience fluctuations of negative, positive emotions, probably more negative, and you're not going to enjoy that experience. So then, God had already put this desire to not want to do that. It wants to transcend that. And so then we become more open to this higher self or knowledge, that's faculty that's also there. So see, the game, it has to be like that. It's like we got to suffer. I was going to make a video like we have to suffer in order to experience peace or something. Otherwise we wouldn't know what it was. If there's only the higher self, you don't even know it's the higher self. You don't even appreciate it. This is why there's a saying, they say even the gods are jealous of the people, the beings, the entities that take human form. How can they be jealous? Well, what they're saying is, see, there's different evolutionary kingdoms. Not every entity that exists passes through this human kingdom. Like you got the fairies and the gnomes and the demigods. Like they don't take human form. They have the more subtle body. So what the gods are saying, and it's not a literal, they're not like really up there like, oh, I'm so jealous. But what they're saying is the human realm is a super duper experience. That's what they're saying. And because the contrast, the duality is so intense, you know, what's the benefit? Why is it some of the most happy, the people who can really appreciate peace the most have went through the most hell? Because of the contrast. Somebody that's really suffered, and then they start to experience this peace, this inner peace, this calmness and serenity after like not experiencing that maybe their whole life, experiencing the total opposite, just mental, you know, breakdowns and anxiety and restlessness, and then they start to come into some actual peace. They're going to appreciate that more than somebody who, let's say they were born into a Brahmin family, been meditating since day one, family, everybody's just happy all the time and peaceful. They don't know the contrast. So each thing has its benefits. That's also beneficial. They don't have to suffer so much. But what I'm trying to say is those of you who had a hard life and who have suffered, there's an equal benefit for that. The further we can go down into hell, the higher we can go into heaven somehow. It works like that. That's why I appreciate duality. Duality is a great thing. No duality, there would be no experience. And there would be no non-duality either if there wasn't duality. So I don't know if I'm going to change this title, because that was my plan. That was my initial. That's what the difference between the self and my mind. But let's see what happens. Let's see. Let me know if you like this video. Let me know like what you want me to make. I want to get a consensus. I'm still learning my audience here a little bit. And so the other channel, I kind of know my audience. They're a trip. So this here, I'm trying to learn my audience too. I mean, I know there's different levels of consciousness, and you know, so it might be difficult to appeal to everybody, but this is what we're going for. All right, have a good day.